Welcome into the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com, and I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting, Jim Goodman, as we take a look at four of the stakes races on the Claiming Crown card down at Gulfstream Park. And always draws some big fields, makes for some interesting betting opportunities. If you can find some keys to settle on, Jim, we'll start in the seventh race, a turf sprint at 5 furlongs. These are all for 3-year-olds and up, and this one is the seventh race on their card, the Canterbury. Where did you land?
Yeah, it's not wide open or anything. 5 furlongs with 14 horses. Horses coming from Woodbine, Gulfstream Park West, Laurel, Keeneland, all over the place. This is kind of like a Breeders' Cup for poor people. So I thought
like that.
It's pretty cool because if you can handicap cheaper horses that are in really good form right now, because they wouldn't take $20,000 claimers down there if they weren't in good form. So it's really a handicapping challenge. Here's what I came up with in the seventh race, which is the 5 furlong turf race. Mr. Online, the 3-horse, to me has a big class edge. Has run in grade 2s the last 2 races at Woodbine at 6 furlongs and 7 furlongs on turf, and then ran in grade 3s at Gulfstream, and is 2 for 7 at Gulfstream. Nearly won those 2 grade 3s at Gulfstream back in February and March. Ran second in the Appleton and second in the Canadian turf. So I think Mr. Online has a class edge. In a 5 furlong race, it's all about the start. And got the 3-hole, which is not stuck on the rail. Good draw. So I'm going to take Mr. Online on top. Quality Last, the 4-horse, is my second choice, who won the Turf Amazon at Parks. 2 back. I think she didn't like the Keeneland yielding turf course in the Buffalo Trace, Franklin County. And I think you can toss that race because she didn't show any speed. She'd shown good speed before that. And Louis Saez rides. I think Quality Last has a real shot. And the horse that I liked on the outside is a horse that came out of the Keeneland race, Mongol Bull, the 13-horse. Ran in the Woodford and almost beat No Nay Never at 56-1. And No Nay Never came back and ran very well in the Breeders' Cup turf. So those are my 3 choices. I would take Mr. Online on top of the other 2 and probably throw all in there in the trifecta. Great race to start off the late pick 4.
I used 2 of the ones you mentioned, but I ended up picking Moonwalker, the 9, third off the layoff for a sharp trainer, and it just looks like there's tons of speed in here, and I thought this one could sit off just a little bit and maybe finish well. But I like Mongo Bull off that race, really was finishing well in the race at Keeneland. Mr. Online I like, and I also used Determinado, the 1. But the number 9, Moonwalker, is going to be the pick for me in the Canterbury. 8th race is the Rapid Transit at 7 furlongs. 7 furlong races, I like to look for horses that have done well at 7 furlongs, and I came to Good Time Had by All, horse that used to run on this circuit here in Kentucky. 3 wins at 7 furlongs. Trainer wins at 33% off this kind of layoff, and I'm wondering if, with this spot in mind, this horse just kind of a lifelong claimer, just kind of freshened up for this particular spot. So I'm going to take Good Time Had by All, the 4, and also include in exactas the 2 Box Office, the 5 Put It Forward, and the 7 Stall Walkin' Dude. How about you?
We don't talk about this in advance, but I agree with you. This will be my key in the late pick 4. Good Time Had by All actually won this race last year at Gulfstream at 7 furlongs with a 99 speed figure and won it by 4.5, which is pretty impressive. And he's kept his form pretty well through 2014. He's won a couple more races, got a second in optional claiming at Gulfstream. And the other key that you talk about is 7 furlongs is kind of a tricky distance, and the horse has run 13 times at 7 furlongs, winning 3, 2 for 5 at Gulfstream. And Paco Lopez will get him out of the gate. So I think Good Time Had by All is my key horse here. The other horses that I like behind him were Holy Highway, the 3-horse, which was a horse coming off a Keeneland 7 furlong win, and the horse had run at Presque Isle before that. He's one of those horses I remember that I looked at that day at Keeneland, and I used to like Presque Isle shippers coming to Keeneland off the synthetic, and guess what? They run well in the dirt off Presque Isle too, and went off at 32-1 that day. I would use him in the exotics along with the 7-horse that you mentioned, Stall Walking Dude, and the other horse, Palatine Hill. Got to respect the horse that's 10 for 31 lifetime with 10 seconds, so 20 out of 31 times in the exacta. So that would be a horse that I would key underneath with the Roz Ortiz Jr. So Palatine Hill would be my key underneath, but my pick would be Good Time Had by All.
9th race is the Emerald on the turf at 1 mile and a 16th, and hard to imagine the Ramseys really support this event well, the Claiming Crown, and they usually have their horses, some of them primed for this card, and so hard to imagine they're going to win one of them anyway. And I went with Long Hunter in here. Maker's 20% off this kind of layoff. This horse has won 3 times at Gulfstream on the turf, so likes the course, and I just figure he's pointed for this particular spot. El Jefe Grande I like a little bit, the 7. I also use Rose Briar and the 1 Sailor's Creek, the other Ramsey in here. But number 9, Long Hunter, is my pick in the Emerald. How about you?
I like both Ramsey horses in here. I didn't like the layoff for Long Hunter. Hadn't run since April 12th at Keeneland and didn't really run very well in the Commonwealth. But the 2 races at Gulfstream before that were mile turf races in January and February and were great races, 101, 102 buyers. So stretching out to mile 16th, I think it's going to be very tough. But my pick on top of those 2 Ramsey horses is the 2 North Star Boy. And I went back to 2 races back for North Star Boy at Saratoga, ran into Bernard Baruch, and ran 2.5 lengths behind Wise Dan. And that was the day that Wise Dan, everybody thought he might be beatable because he was coming off the surgery, and he beat Optimizer, and this horse ran behind those 2 plus 5 irons. So that's pretty tough competition for a horse that was actually up for a claiming price in 2013. So I'm going to take the class of North Star Boy on top with the 2 Ramseys below and throw in Saffron Hill, the 13, who exits a big win at Churchill Downs and gets a Rod Ortiz. Outside post could compromise the speed, but Saffron Hall has a big shot as well. But North Star Boy is my pick in the Emerald.
Claiming Crown wraps up with the Jewel at 1 1/8 on the main track. How did you see this one?
I saw this one as all. This one was tough. I handicapped them, and I looked at this one, and I settled on. I literally have 5 horses, and I'll give you what my very lukewarm pick is, only because of the post draw and the speed. I'm going to take Cerro, just because he's going to get to the lead. He's on the 1 hole. He's got no choice. Dane Kabisky is a good, solid trainer, 21% trainer, and Cerro shows a lot of speed and is probably going to get the lead. And whether he can hold it for 1 1/8, I'm not sure. But I would take Cerro on top, very, very lukewarm, over the 3 Kings over, 3 for 8 at Gulfstream. He's so fine, the 8 would be one I would throw in. Basically, the last 5 races have all been really good at Parks, and he's run behind some good horses and seems to be coming into this horse pretty well. Ramon Prasado is a nice trainer, and I think he's got a shot. Cease, the 11, has the back class, nearly $700,000 in winnings and 4 for 11 at distance. And the other horse I would throw in there is Tarpey's Gold, the 13 for Dale Romans, 7 for 19 lifetime. Corey Lannery takes the ride off a really nice win at Churchill. But this one is one I would go deep in the pick for. In
a wide-open race, we ended up on the same horse. I like Cerro as well. This horse comes off his lifetime best fig and now moves into a good trainer's barn, so no reason to think that he would regress. 2 for 3 at 1 1/8 I like, and then there's 1 3 in a row and is drawn down on the inside, and that's usually favorable in these 2-turn races at Gulfstream. There's a Ramsey horse in there, Eurygena, the 5, that I think bears a long look. The 9, Bill of Rights, the 10, Viramundo, or others I would use. But Cerro's the pick. I think on the website blog I used him as a key in exactas, but you could really box all 4 of these, the 1, 5, 9, and 10, and do a 4-horse box here and have a little more coverage, if you will, for a little more cost. So Cerro's the pick for me as well. And if you're doing multi-race tickets, I'm like Jim. I think Good Time Had by All is your best shot, is one to maybe key on and hope that he runs back to that race that he ran last year. Wish you best of luck on Claiming Crown Day. Some tough handicapping challenges, but you figure to get well paid if you can come up with the right ones. We'll see you next week on the In the Money Podcast.